Welcome to the Noble Ape Podcast, Ape Reality. I'm Tom Barbalet, and this serves as the December 2008 Mailout. Well, I'd recorded a couple of Ape Realities previously, including a Mailout. However, in the past few days I've been working rather heavily on getting the critter component of Larry Yeager's PolyWorld into Noble Ape, and I've had quite a bit of success. As it stands currently, there are still some issues with regards to the critter code specifically, but my thinking is that I'll probably take the genome and brain code from PolyWorld and transplant that into a Noble Ape somehow. Mainly because that code hasn't actually got any issues with it after some minor rewrites. However, the critter code still is very heavily interfaced into, obviously, the environment of PolyWorld per what would happen if you did the same thing to Noble Ape. So I think if I could just translate the brain simulation from PolyWorld into Noble Ape, that'll be 9/10 of what I wanted to do anyway. So that's probably going to be the conclusion of that development. Well, the start of a wide variety of other developments, but the conclusion of the PolyWorld Noble Ape initial collaboration. Once it's actually in Noble Ape, obviously there's a lot of additional stuff to be done. My plan is that I will maintain the PolyWorld in Noble Ape code, which makes some sense. And also with regards to the stuff that I talked about in nature-inspired informatics, with regards to metrics, be they survival metrics, food consumption metrics, these kind of things, obviously I'll be in a better position to implement that code initially, although ideally I would like to have folks from Larry Yeager's development group, from the PolyWorld development group, come in and look at what's going on with regards to this implementation within Noble Ape. It'll be interesting to see what comes out of all of this. But that's the update with regards to that. I had originally planned to do the Cocoa implementation initially and then the PolyWorld implementation. However, I've made some relatively large steps with regards to the Cocoa implementation as well. I have rewritten the Carbon version and made all the code that would need extensive interfacing into code stubs, which seem to work in a Cocoa context. I have the cycling frame refreshing component written in Cocoa now, and it's just a matter of putting through the low-level graphics and also mouse, keyboard, these kind of interfaces. And I don't think that'll be too time-consuming, but I probably need to get back to that relatively quickly. That's why I wanted to do the PolyWorld development initially as a small-time project with the view that the next integration will happen after the full Cocoa implementation is done. I remember some correspondence with regards to Gerald de Jong over the past couple of months about the idea that what we are doing here with artificial life simulating is fundamentally project managing a hobby, and I do feel some of that with regards to Noble Ape. However, the text for nature-inspired informatics is in. I signed off on the last paperwork, so hopefully it'll be out early next year, and it's going to be interesting to see how both that and Dick Gordon's book's received. I've not received my copy of Dick Gordon's book yet. I'm not sure when it actually makes ground in the US. I was told mid-December, however I haven't had any additional information with regards to that, so we'll see when that comes through. Nature-inspired informatics hasn't even hit the presses yet, so sometime next year nature-inspired informatics will come out, and it'll be interesting to see where I am with regards to the Noble Ape PolyWorld development at that stage, because I think hopefully it'll be considerably further along than as it was initially discussed and kind of outlined in the nature-inspired informatics text. But time will tell. In addition to this, I wanted to talk briefly with regards to my Australia trip. My wife and I are going to Australia. It looks like mid-February, however we're still waiting to finalise the tickets, and I had originally thought that I would do some video recording and possibly also audio recording with regards to some of the primary folks involved with the Noble Ape development. I may just take audio recording of some people, but in terms of what I want to do with regards to Noble Ape, it would just be nice to have some documentation, and I think video will be a bit intrusive, so audio is probably the better mechanism. We'll see how it turns out. I mean, ultimately this stuff will be going out in Ape Reality podcasts in the future, so you will probably have more primary contact with this than I will in terms of my recording and what I have here. You'll just find the end products in the feed, which should be very good. I have to say at the end of this year that I'm a bit disappointed with regards to the number of Ape Realities that I put out this year. Certainly the success of this podcast has grown dramatically, and I probably should record a lot more kind of candid musings on my part in order to fill out basically what's going on in Noble Ape and what's going on historically in terms of the discussive nature of Ape Reality. And really this year has been more focused on specific projects, primarily things like Biota Live and also writing related projects, which have taken me away from the podcast, and for this regard I'm disappointed and sorry. So apologies to folks who have listened to Ape Reality for a number of years now, with the view that I haven't really put much effort in terms of actually recording new and dynamic Ape Realities. But having said that, I mean, Biota Live has been a phenomenal success, although Ape Reality maintains the numbers that Biota Live doesn't have. I mean, Ape Reality is typically between 2 or 3 times more downloaded than Biota Live. However, that's a large part due to the size, and I think the format of Ape Reality seems to suit a lot more podcast listeners than the format of Biota Live. So, a happy new year to all. Shout outs to everyone who's corresponded with me this year. I hope to record a lot more audio next year, obviously with the Australia trip. That'll provide some audio. But thank you very much for tuning into this podcast. I look forward to you tuning into the next podcast.